Masculinity. I'm not sure about you, but when I was actually younger, I actually wanted to give off those masculine vibes. I wanted to actually be seen as someone that was actually quite manly, quite masculine, and I actually wanted to perceive that way because this way I actually truly believed in that I would actually gain more respect and more status. And to be honest, over the years I've actually developed a few things that have actually helped me to obtain this. And in this video I actually want to talk more about it so you can actually implement it in your own life to actually become more masculine, or at least look more masculine. So that's why in today's video I want to talk about 5 things you need to implement in your own life to actually look more masculine, and it will be shocking. So with that said, let's jump into the video. So number 1 is the quite obvious one. So hit the gym. And unfortunately, while I'm actually making this video, the UK is going into a second lockdown for 1 month, and therefore the gyms will be closed again. But nevertheless, there shouldn't be an excuse at all, because if you start to actually hit the gym, you actually get so many benefits. And one of those benefits is that you actually get rid of the hormonal imbalance that you might have in your system. So I know that for a lot of us, when we actually start to get acne on these particular spots on our face, it is due to hormonal imbalance. And therefore, if you actually start to hit the gym, you actually start to raise your testosterone levels, and that way you actually start to fight against this hormone imbalance. So you might be asking, why is it so important? Well, the thing is, we as men are meant to actually have more testosterone than estrogen. So if you're someone that actually has a hormonal imbalance, you might actually have too much estrogen compared to your testosterone levels, and therefore you might actually get some of those feminine traits instead of the masculine ones that you're actually seeking for. So if you're someone that actually wants to look more masculine, someone that actually will actually obtain status and respect just simply for the way they look, because they look quite manly, if you start to hit the gym, you actually start to obtain it because you actually start to raise your testosterone levels, and at the same time you look much better because you are simply in a better shape, and that way you'll be in a much better place than most other individuals. And another thing is the physical changes you actually implement in your body when it comes to actually hitting the gym. So when it comes to actually looking more masculine, you want to have that V shape. And as you can see on the screen right now, this is how a V shape looks. And if you're someone that has hormonal imbalance, or too skinny, or too fat, you won't have this V shape, and therefore you won't have the masculine trait when it comes to simply your body. So by just simply hitting the gym, you actually obviously will actually make sure that you look more masculine by actually getting rid of the hormonal imbalance, and at the same time you'll be in a much better shape, a quote-unquote more manly shape. Number 2, facial hair. And I know a lot of you guys watching these videos are a bit younger and therefore can't really grow a beard out, or some individuals are obviously a bit older, my age, but you still don't quite have the genetics to grow it out. And I'm not gonna act like, yeah, you need to have a perfect full beard, because I don't have a perfect full beard either, and you don't have to. But there are a few strategies or things you can actually implement into your life to actually increase your beard game, to actually look more masculine. Because hey, we've got science, right? And there actually has been some research done to actually showcase to you guys that you don't need to have a perfect beard to actually still look masculine, or at least better than you actually currently look like. So when it comes to teens, I know that a lot of you guys might not even have some facial hair, or if you do, it's quite patchy and it's uneven. And I know some of you guys watching these videos and they are actually still teenagers and have got the perfect beard, will actually let me know in the comments down below. But regardless, for those individuals that actually still have a quite patchy beard, or maybe a quite uneven beard, for those individuals you actually need to actually make sure that you don't let it grow out too much. But for those individuals that do actually have some facial hair, even though it's quite patchy, you should actually let it grow out. But don't let it grow out too much, because if you actually do that, you actually end up getting your facial hair to actually look quite disastrous. So instead of actually letting it all grow out and just see where you can go, try to actually grow it out for a few days. So you can actually probably do it for 5 to 7 days, because since your hair is quite thin and quite more patchy, that way you actually still have a decent kind of beard compared to most other individuals that will actually let it grow out for 10 to 12 days, because that way it will actually look quite uneven. So if you actually do that, you actually start to actually look more masculine rather than if you actually have a clean shape. And when it comes to those individuals that actually do have some facial hair that's quite more thicker, even though it's not perfect or full, you actually might want to actually consider to actually grow your hair out for 3 days. Because scientific research has shown that girls actually prefer a guy with a 3-day stubble. Instead of actually growing your beard out fully or actually giving yourself a clean shape, if you actually start to grow your beard out for 3 days, this way you actually start to look more attractive for the opposite sex, and at the same time you look more masculine even though you don't have a perfect full beard. So as you look on the screen right now, this was me 2 years ago, and as you can see, I do actually have quite thick hair on the side of my face, but obviously it doesn't really blend in compared to the rest of my hair on my face. So compare that to now, and in the present, as you can probably see me talking in the videos or just simply on this B-roll, you can actually see that my beard is much more thicker and I've got more hair on my cheek right now, but still I don't have a perfect beard. So actually by just implementing some strategies, such as actually making sure your beard is well faded in with your skin fade, if you're someone that actually has it, or if you're someone that actually prefers to have the same length on your side of your hair and your beard, try to actually make sure it is the same length instead of your beard being much thicker than the hair on the top of your head. Because otherwise you'll look like Wolverine, and that's something you most likely don't want to. Number 3, hair. So if you're someone that actually wants to look more masculine, wants to simply give out those masculine vibes and all of that masculinity, make sure you've got that rocked look when it comes to your hair. Because if you got that rocked look, it'll actually look like that you didn't put any effort into your hair, which actually will make you look more rocked and more masculine. But obviously, make sure it's still maintained. So you want to actually give the illusion that it doesn't look like you put any effort into it and you still somehow look so decent with your hairstyle. But obviously, we know better than that. You probably put some effort into it to actually create the hairstyle. So make sure to actually create your hairstyle in a way that will actually make it look like you didn't put any effort into it, even though you did. Because that way, you actually create that rocked look, which will make you look more masculine. And obviously, with a lot of hairstyles, it's quite hard to actually maintain and actually obtain that look. But if you're someone that actually wants to obtain that look, I'd actually recommend you to grow your hair a bit longer. Because if you do this, you actually allow yourself to actually have obviously longer hair, which you can obviously style in different directions and make sure you actually get that masculine and rocked look. For example, my hair is all the way to the back right now, but what if I pull it a bit to the side? You can still see that I've obviously put some effort into it, but it's a bit more rocked and it just seems like it was quite effortless, and therefore it will actually give you that masculine look. So I hope you actually understand this point. Anyways, with that said, let's jump into the next point. Number 4, body movement. So most likely you've actually seen someone that you actually thought was quite masculine when you were watching a movie. So what were actually the traits that most of these individuals possess that actually make them seem so masculine? Well, when it comes to the body movement, it usually is super slow. It's actually twice as slow as the average person, and therefore it makes them look so much more masculine. So when it comes to all of those special characters in movies, even though there's a bomb exploding in their back, they don't care. They're just simply walking off like they're some masculine person. And that's what you should do as well. If you're someone that actually wants to look more masculine, you should probably obtain and actually possess these body movements. So you might be asking, what are those masculine body movements? And to be quite honest, it's not really hard. So when it comes to actually possessing those body movements, most of those characters are just walking much slower than the average person. And I'm not actually telling you to actually work twice as slow, because most people will actually think, who is this person? But try to walk a bit slower than you actually usually do, because this way you actually start to appear more masculine. And another trait when it comes to their body movement is that they actually seems like they're under control. They try to actually obtain as much space as they can because they want to showcase that they're boss. They're actually under control and they're not afraid of others' opinion of what they think about them. And that's what you can just simply see when you look at the body movement and the way they actually behave. And that's something you want to do as well if you actually want to be more masculine. Number 5, posture. So this actually goes hand in hand with the previous point, and that's why it's so important. If you implement these 2 points together, you actually give those masculine vibes just by the way you actually move and the way you actually position yourself. And just like I previously mentioned, make sure you take a bit more space than you usually do. And I'm not telling you to take all of the space in the world when you're, for example, in a train when it's actually quite crowded. But I'm telling you, just generally speaking, where you're sitting someone, where you're standing and you're having a conversation with someone, just try to stand a bit taller, a bit broader, and just make sure your neck's a bit up, have that good posture. Because if you're someone that actually portrays good posture, takes more space, is under control, and showcases that he isn't afraid at all, that will actually make sure that you actually look more masculine to most other individuals. So if you implement these 5 tips into your life and actually constantly try to improve yourself by using these tips, trust me, in the long term, you'll be so much more masculine than you currently are. Because I'm someone that is a prime example. I've never been really that masculine, but by implementing some of strategies into my life over the long term, I've actually been able to actually look more masculine and actually make sure that I actually look much better than I previously did. Just simply look at my previous videos if you're new to this channel. That way you can actually check out how I actually used to look like, how I used to actually talk and behave. And that way you can actually see that over time, if you implement some strategies, you'll be able to look more masculine. And if you're someone that is new to this channel and actually appreciates videos like this, because I saw that over 90% of the people that are watching these videos aren't even subscribed. So apparently most of you guys just watch these videos and then leave. I mean, fair enough, but if you're someone that actually wants to see more videos like this and actually found it quite interesting, please consider to hit the subscribe button because that helps me out. And obviously, if you don't like the content after all, you can always feel free to unsubscribe. So I hope that's a fair deal. Anyways, I hope you actually enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. And with that said, I hope to see you on the other video. Bye bye.